Thank you very much, and good afternoon, everyone. So I joined Thor Mining approximately 18 months ago, transitioning into Managing Director less than 12 months ago. So this is the first opportunity I've had to get to London and introduce myself as the Managing Director, and also introduce the Thor story and how I wish to take the company forward and to, obviously have success. So Thor Mining itself is listed on the AIM as well as the ASX and OTC market, and that's based on the fact that we have operations in Australia as well as the US. We have a very diverse portfolio of projects, so essentially four projects, and these are in commodities that I call future commodities. So commodities that are in high value demand at the moment, and I think into the short and long term future. So in South Australia, we have a lithium and gold project in the Pilbara. This is obviously a more early stage project. Copper projects in South Australia, they have a resource and moving towards development. Uranium asset in the USA, so 3 projects in Utah, Colorado. And our most advanced project is our Molly Hill molybdenum tungsten project. And this is essentially ready to go into development, or shovel ready, shall I say. So just a quick corporate snapshot. As I mentioned, we're triple listed, originally listed on the AIM approximately 13 years ago, and probably about 5 years ago on the ASX, and more recently on the OTC. Market cap sitting around 14.6 million, 1.6 in the bank, no debt. We have a fairly new board of directors, so only a small holding at the moment, but we do all have interest in the board. So a strong corporate position to move the projects forward and create shareholder value. So just a quick investment case. Based on the flow or pipeline of projects, we're very much poised for significant success through discovery as well as development. Focused on commodities, as mentioned earlier, for future development, so batteries, critical metals. Portfolio is in proven jurisdictions, and most importantly in sovereign risk-friendly environments. They're in provinces that are very highly prospective but relatively unexplored, so lots of upscale there. Well funded to take the projects forward, and most importantly is the experience of our board and management. So we have 2 directors based here in the UK with a predominantly finance background. So Mark Potter is our chair. Alistair Clayton joined relatively recently, so both with finance backgrounds. Myself, as Managing Director, 30 years experience in the resource industry, a geologist, started my career in underground mining and working through the full resource cycle, working across a lot of commodities, gold, base metals, copper, uranium and lithium throughout Australia, as well as South America, as well as Eastern Europe. Mark McGough is also a technical director, also a geologist with not only industry but also government experience. So a really good, strong board and management to take our projects forward. And I think that's really the strength with the change of the board, is adding the technical input into how we drive the projects forward. So for me, the most important thing is getting boots on the ground. So you won't have a discovery, you won't move a project forward unless you're out exploring. So we're on the ground at Ragged Range. Next week we'll be out geologically mapping and sampling our lithium targets. We hope to be RC drilling in probably May. At our copper projects, in particular Alfred, we'll be progressing our ISR hydrometallurgical side of things, but be back out drilling and potentially high grading that resource. Over in the US, we're working through the permits on the Colorado side, so as soon as those permits come through, we'll be on the ground drilling. And our tungsten molybdenum project, we finished a drilling program at the end of last year, so we're waiting on those assays to come through, and really that will drive the direction in which we take that project forward, whether that's us developing it or getting a joint venture partner or a mining company to come in and develop that project, maintaining an equity interest. So just moving on to the projects. So Ragged Range, this is a relatively greenfield project. For me as a geologist, it's the one I'm most excited and passionate about. Located in the eastern Pilbara of WA. For those who aren't familiar with WA, to me this is probably the most exciting province to be exploring in at the moment. Unfortunately my laser doesn't work, but we've got De Grey's Hemi project, which is 9 million ounces of gold to our northwest, Calidus directly north with 1.25. So these are large gold deposits in close proximity. And on the uranium front, we have two of the world's highest grade lithium spodumene deposits. So highly prospective for the gold, lithium, and we have a nickel gossan just to finish it off. So a rather busy map, just on the prospectivity. We initially went into the project looking at the gold, so our key and lode gold. We have, through soil and stream sediment sampling, have identified a 13-kilometre gold corridor. That's the yellow cross-thatched area on the sort of western side of the project. We're working through that. We commenced our maiden drilling at the end of last year, and we will continue drilling along that corridor. A nickel gossan to the south. This was identified by the Geological Survey, but we're the first company to actually follow that up. And we hope to be doing some geophysics there in the next few months and then moving forward to drill test that. Copper workings over in the northeast. And then the lithium prospectivity is all around the northern area of the tenure. So this is around the granite, which is the pink body. We have 100% control of the tenure, essentially of the greenstone belt. So this is a busy map as far as lithium prospectivity, but what I wanted to highlight is the two world-class lithium deposits associated with the split rock supersuite, which is the red bodies on that map. Over where we are in Ragged Range, we also have that red body, but no one's explored for lithium, so we'll be on the ground following up that. We've identified a few pegmatites, so now we'll be on the ground sampling those pegmatites to identify if they're spodumene rich. So I identified 3 targets to follow up with a survey over the next week. The gold, as I mentioned, we started drilling there at Sterling Prospect last year, and we'll be following up that drilling program as we move forward in the next few months along the 13-kilometre corridor. The initial drilling highlighted some great alteration as well as sulphide, so we'll be following those up. Nickel gossan, it's just a photo of me standing on this gossan, extends over 1 kilometre, 100 metres wide. As mentioned, it has been, was identified through Geological Survey mapping, but we'll get on the ground doing some geophysics and then drill testing that this year. So just highlighting early stage exploration, but the potential to be a game changer for Thor Mining. Lots of prospectivity around the gold, the lithium, as well as the nickel, and we'll be on the ground following that up with mapping as well as drilling in the next few months. So copper projects. These are in South Australia, and we have direct and indirect interest in 3 projects. We have 30% equity in Enviro Copper, who have Kapunda as well as Alfred West. And then Thor has Alfred East, where we're earning in 80%. These projects are located approximately an hour-and-a-half drive from Adelaide. Very good infrastructure. And a little bit different to other copper projects, we're looking at the near-surface copper oxide mineralisation. And we're looking at developing them from an in situ recovery perspective. So rather than using traditional open cut or underground mining, we're looking at a more environmentally friendly and low cost alternative. If you go onto our website, I have a short video, or up at our booth, there's a little video explaining in situ recovery a little bit more. It's not new, it's been extensively used in the uranium space for over 20 odd years, and we have 2 operating ISR projects in South Australia. So regulatory system is familiar with it. Myself and one of the other directors have worked with ISR, so we're familiar with it as well. So, you know, projects in the US are using it, and Thor is aiming to be a trusted global leader in the environmentally sustainable development of copper. So this is the Alfred East, and I know I'm on a tight time frame, so I won't go into it too much detail. The project itself had been heavily explored for a primary IOCG-style mineralisation, and they kindly drilled over 500 drill holes into the project, but targeting the deeper potential mineralisation. They ignored the copper oxide at the surface. We've actually gone in, used that information, come up with a maiden resource of over 177,000 tonnes of contained copper and 70,000 ounces of gold. So that was just a maiden resource based on historic drilling. We've now gone in and following that up, doing a little bit more controlled drilling based on understanding the oxide mineralisation and the structural setting. We've been able to high grade the drilling and intercepted 73 metres at 1% copper, including 20 metres at 2% copper. So these are outstanding copper intercepts, and they're from near surface, so from 6 metres. So you could go out there tomorrow and essentially dig these up, but as mentioned, we do want to move forward with an in situ recovery, which, as I highlighted, is a low cost and a low environmental footprint moving forward. So we'll be following those up in due course with more drilling. But what I wanted to highlight is with the in situ recovery, you can move from development into production very quickly. So a traditional open cut or underground can take 10 to 20 years. We're looking at being in production development by 2024 with our Kapunda project, and Alfred East probably 12 months behind. So quite a short lead time to go from development into production. So over in the US, we have our uranium, vanadium projects. Just quickly on this photograph, I wanted to highlight, and unfortunately the laser doesn't work, so I'm just going to leave the mic. So the mineralisation is very shallow, it's very horizontal lying, so it's very easy to drill test. So these projects, 3 in total, one on the Utah side and the other 2 in Colorado. These are within the Uravan mineral belt. It's a very richly endowed province of uranium and vanadium, has a ratio of about 5 to 1 vanadium to uranium. Our sampling on our areas have returned up to 1.25% uranium, 3.5% vanadium. These are exceptionally high grade. The world's largest uranium deposit, Olympic Dam, has a uranium grade of 0.04% uranium. So this is sitting at 1.25% uranium. So a big difference. These are exceptionally high grade areas to be exploring in. A lot of production. So 2 of the areas, Rimrock and Groundhog, will be exploring a long strike of historic working, so what's called brownfields exploration. But Section 23 is the one that we're most excited about. This area was held by the Atomic Energy Department, the federal government of the US, and we're the first company to go in and actively explore. So we're pretty excited about the prospectivity of this area. I think we're all very confident we're going to intercept uranium. It's just the thickness of those intercepts. I have worked in uranium, and so has one of the other directors. So with our uranium background, we feel we can really drive this project forward. What I didn't show on this map is just to the bottom of the map is White Mesa Mill. This toll treats both uranium and vanadium, and that would be our strategy, is to develop the project and then toll treat. So we wouldn't be looking at building our own processing plant. It would simply be trucking down and toll treating. So we're working through the permits at the moment. We want to drill all 3 projects at once. So working through the San Miguel County permits at the moment, and as soon as we have those in place, we'll be on the ground drilling. Uranium, obviously, at the moment, the US have over 100 reactors and a negligible domestic supply. With the sanctions, with the current invasion in the Ukraine, they've stopped all imports of uranium from Russia and potentially Kazakhstan. So they now need a domestic supply of uranium. So this certainly values this project very highly. Last but not least is our Molly Hill project. This is the most advanced project looking at tungsten, molybdenum and copper. Tungsten is a very critical mineral. China dominates the supply demand. So again, due to geopolitical reasons, particularly the US are looking for their own source of tungsten. The project had a feasibility study done in 2018. We're now looking at, with the current prices of tungsten and molybdenum, moving that project forward and potentially looking for a joint venture partner to come in and mine the project whilst maintaining some equity in that. We have been doing some near deposit sort of exploration, and we've identified several targets that we're currently sort of drilling and assessing, potentially to upgrade that resource and take what is currently a 7-year mine life to a 10-year mine life. So value add to the project.
1 minute to go.
1 minute. So next steps, lots of news flow, actively on the ground at all of our projects. As mentioned, our technical strength is where we hope and aim to add value to each of the projects. Getting on the ground is very important. You won't have a discovery sitting at your desk. You need to be on the ground, spending money and exploring your projects. And this is where we can add value to the projects and then move them forward. And that's really our strategy. So just highlighting, great commodities, proven jurisdictions, no sovereign risk, strong pipeline, well-funded, and a very technical, strong border management team. So thank you all very much.